Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this session. Just give me 1 second. Yeah. So, friends, as you can see on the screen, today we are going to talk about NMIMS admission criteria and competency assessment that they have kept in place as part of their selection process. So, there are a lot of queries from students, and we felt there's a need to do a session on this so that you people get a good amount of idea and deeper understanding about how exactly NMIMS will carry out the admission process. What are the various activities that will be conducted as part of stage 2 of the selection process, and little more insight into the test that they call competency assessment. So I'm gonna deliver all these inputs in the session at the end of the session. If you have got any queries, if there are some more questions that you felt I should have covered, or if you want some clarification, do feel free to ask me your questions. So without any further ado, let's get started with this session. So to begin with, as far as NMIMS goes, it has a very rich legacy. It is a old business school, which is more than 4.5 decade old business school. So NMIMS was established in 1981, and it's a premier, top-ranked private business school in India. And they offer a rigorous case-based curriculum and very good placement scenario. They have a very good tie-up with the industry, and that's the reason you will see a lot of big multinational firms coming to NMIMS Mumbai, especially every year, to recruit students. Having said that, they have also expanded. They have started their campuses in places like Bangalore, Hyderabad, Indore, and they continue the legacy. So these campuses are also improving with every year, but still NMIMS Mumbai is by far their best campus in terms of brand value as well as placements. Now, as far as NMIMS cutoffs are concerned, the shortlist has been released a few weeks back, and they have kept a cutoff of 209 marks. Keep in mind, this 209 marks is overall score that is needed to clear the cutoff and secure an interview call. And there is a provision of sectional cutoffs also. And the sectional cutoffs for MBA program, here I'm talking about their flagship MBA program, it has been kept at 60 marks. So if you cross 209 marks overall and 60 marks in every section, you would have got an interview call from NMIMS. But of course, these calls will only be issued to those who wrote NMAT and also those who have applied to NMIMS. If you wrote NMAT but you did not apply to NMIMS, even if you cross these scores, you will not be called for interview. So those who have applied to NMAT as well as applied to NMIMS and have crossed these marks, they have been invited for a personal interview. This is the cutoff for their flagship MBA program. But they also offer MBA in pharmaceutical management. This is designed for those who would like to make a career in the field of pharmaceutical industry. So if you look at the cutoff for that, the cutoff was much lower. It was only 190 marks overall, with 60 marks in English, that is language skills, and 55 marks in logical reasoning and quant. So these were the cutoffs that they have kept in place for pharmaceutical management, which is much, much lower than what they had in place for MBA. Having said that, even the cutoffs that you see for MBA, these are much, much lower than what the cutoffs were in past. So if you look at 3-4 years back, what NMIMS used to do was they used to have a very high cutoff for their Mumbai campus. So if you look at the cutoffs till, let's say, 2022, even 2023 for that matter, then NM Mumbai campus used to have a cutoff of more than 230, for instance. Bangalore used to be somewhere around 220. Hyderabad, Indore used to be around 210, and so on. But that has been changed a couple of years back, and they decided to have a single cutoff for all MBA programs. And this year, the number that has been decided was 209 marks. Now, if you were to look at the way final selection will be carried out, that means after the interview round gets over, how is it that the students will eventually be selected? NMAT will have a weightage of only 10%. This is an important bit of information. NMAT's weightage in the final selection will be only 10%. So if you look at the weightage that was kept last year, so if you were to look at the selection process last year for 2025 to 2027 batch, NMAT used to have 20% weightage. But this year, it has been brought down to 10% weightage. So NMAT weightage has been brought down. What will be the impact out of this? See, the impact out of this would be the importance of the competency assessment will go up drastically. You have to be very careful about your performance in competency assessment. So typically, because NMAT weightage is only 10%, if a student gets 210 marks and ends up with a call, and somebody else get 270 marks in NMAT and gets a call, the differentiation between them may not be very high in the final selection stage. Having said that, mathematically speaking, still 270 will fetch you much higher percentage than what 210 would, because there is still some weightage. There is 10% weightage. So there is a weightage, but the weightage is pretty low. Now, on the other hand, if you look at the weightage given to competency assessment, it is whopping 60% weightage. Yes, 60% will be the weightage for competency assessment. If you look at last year it used to be 50%. Now it has been brought up. So 20 has become 10 and 50 has become 60 in this year's admission process. That's the reason we say that competency assessment can become the do or die parameter of selection at NMIMS. Now, if you look at personal interview, it will have a weightage of 15%. Some people, they say that 15% is very low. But what you need to understand is personal interview is around where if you perform very bad, you may get a very low score. On the other hand, if you do a remarkable job, you may get a pretty high score. So the differentiation still will happen in spite of your weightage being 15% out here. So you definitely need to prepare well for personal interview round also. And I strongly suggest that you prepare hard for your interview preparation. If you have still not joined T.I.M.E GWPI program, I recommend you do it at the earliest. We have launched the GWPI program. You can either visit the nearest T.I.M.E center to your home, or you can visit our website and you can go through the information and register for the same. But make sure you join T.I.M.'s GWPI program so that you can be well prepared to handle interviews. Now, apart from this, the last 15% weightage will be given for work experience. Now, what kind of work experience, what duration of work experience, what kind of work experience will be accepted, what kind of work experience will not be accepted. That is also pretty important bit of information that I'm going to share with you after some time. But for the time being, understand 15% will be the weightage given for work experience. So this is the final selection criteria that NMIMS will use this year for their admission process. And by far the most important aspect would be competency assessment. So that's what we are going to focus a little bit more in this session. Now, let's dig a little deeper into the work experience aspect, because there's a lot of ambiguity in minds of students about this. So let us answer some questions. So first and foremost, candidates' work experience will be counted only if they have secured it after their graduation. So some people, they pursue a job along with their graduation, simultaneously along with graduation. So some people say, sir, it was a full-time job. I did not go to college from morning 9 to evening. I was working. Will it be counted? Answer is no. It has to be work experience that you have secured after you finish your graduation. Only that work ex will be counted. And they are giving you an opportunity to update your work experience till 31st of December 2025, and that will be considered when they give you weightage. Now remember, minimum work experience of 1 year will be counted and maximum work experience of 3 years will be given weightage. That means if you have less than 1 year, you're not going to get any weightage. Similarly, if you have got more than 3 years, again, you will not be going to be given any kind of weightage. So do remember this when it comes to work experience. Now, very interestingly, what NMIMS has announced is if your work experience has been gained through family business or self-employment, it will not be considered. I repeat, it will not be considered. That is something that you have to remember. Then work experience where salary was not credited online into your account. it was not transferred into your account from a bank account and salary was paid in cash, it will not be considered. So some people, unfortunately, in past have misused this provision, and there have been cases of people claiming fake experience, and when they were asked proof, they used to say that the salary was paid to them in cash. And NMIMS has decided this year they are not going to consider those kind of jobs. So work experience will not be counted in case your money or your salary was not credited into your account and it was paid in cash. Now, other than this, they said that training internships or apprenticeship, or if you have been engaged as a director designation in startup or organizations, then it will not be considered as work experience. Of course, internships, articleships, trainings, even the IIMs don't consider it as work experience. But in case of NMIMS, they have said if you're working in a startup or an organization with the designation of a director, then even that will not be considered. They also said that trainee internship will not be included when you are entering work experience details in the experience field. Now, this is something that you have to be careful about when you're filling up the form, which I'm assuming you already did carefully as such. One last thing about work experience. What they're planning to do is they are going to employ a third party. Third party means they will outsource the work of verification of work experience to a third party, to an outside organization. They are going to check out the claims that the students have made as such. All right. So, and candidates will have to upload pending work experience documents within 10 days of payment of tuition fees. If they don't do that, then the admission can be cancelled. Also, if at all it is found that your work experience is incorrect or insufficient, then again the admission offer can be recalled. So this is something that you have to be very careful about. Be very honest during the entire process. Now, the competency assessment and personal interview round, it will be carried out at their Mumbai campus. So unlike some of the other places which are doing interviews online, NMIMS is not doing it online. It will be an offline process wherein you have to visit their Mumbai campus, and you have to spend half a day out there and carry out the entire process. So it's an offline process, and the dates that have been kept aside with 31st January to 26th February, and I am assuming by now you have already selected the dates. They gave an option to the candidates to opt for a date as per their choice. Having said that, the dates have been filled based on first come, first served basis. And naturally, majority of the people who filled up the SOP and filled up the application very fast, they ended up grabbing all the later dates, and people who delayed the process, they were only left with the dates in the beginning. So I hope you have filled up the application very fast and you got the later dates, so that you could have prepared a little more for this particular process. So NMIMS is one of the very few places where fees is charged for the interview round. So 1,200 rupees has been charged by NMIMS for the interview round. Now, they are conducting the process in morning session as well as afternoon session. So they will allot one of the timings to you. So there will be 2 batches in morning and 2 batches that will be invited in afternoon. So the first batch, let's call it morning batch M1, they will have to report at morning 8 o'clock, and the second batch will have to report at morning 10 o'clock. Similarly, in afternoon, there will be 2 batches that will be called every day. So the morning or afternoon, I should say, afternoon batch, first batch A1 will report at afternoon 12, and the other batch will be called at 2 p.m. So this is how they are scheduling the interviews and competency assessment. Now, when you go there, you have to take 3 things along with you. Number 1, you need to have a hard copy of your call letter. I suggest you take a printout of your call letter that you received from NMIMS because obviously you're going to be asked for it. Other than this, please write down and carry your login password for NMIMS dashboard. So for your NMIMS dashboard, you need to log in their computer lab. So you need to remember the login password that has already been emailed to you when you registered with NMIMS, if you recall. So please do carry that along. Other than this, they are going to ask for a photo identification proof. What is photo identification proof? It's the same thing that you carried along with you for your CAT exam or for NMAT exam. You need to have a government issued ID card. It can be Aadhaar card, it can be PAN card, it may be your passport. So you need to carry a government issued ID proof without fail. And just like you did on the day of these exams, your ID card should be legible. The photograph on your ID card should obviously resemble you. So just make sure you take these three things without fail as such. Now, when you reach the center in Mumbai, make sure you reach well on time. So for instance, I've shown in the previous slide, let's say you got M1 slot. So morning first slot, morning 8 o'clock was the reporting. I would strongly recommend you go to their gate and try to reach the gate 10 minutes in advance. So try to reach by 7:50 at the center. Since majority of you may not be from Mumbai, always budget for that also. If you're taking a cab or if you are taking an auto rickshaw to the venue, make sure you plan it in such a manner that you reach well on time. Do not be late as such. Now, when you have reached the venue and you went with these things along with you, you should be aware of what activities will be carried out there. So once you walk in, there will be a security person, there'll be a reception desk, there'll be a provision to keep some of the belongings that you may be carrying along with you. They will not allow other things with you. So you can keep some things for safekeeping out there. Now, once you walk inside, there will be two activities that you have to mandatorily undergo. First and foremost, you will undergo the competency test. And after finishing the competency test, you will be taken for an AI assisted PI. What is AI assisted PI? How exactly will it be carried out? I'm going to explain it to you, but after some time. But you are going to start with a competency test. This test will be carried out inside their computer labs at NMIMS campus. And when you are taken in, you'll have to log in onto your dashboard, and that's where the link will be provided. That's the reason I said you need to remember the login password, because the competency test will be enabled on your dashboard. Now, once you go there for competency test, you need to understand what kind of a test is this. First and foremost, it's just a 45 minutes duration test. That means it's a very short and sweet test. Here, the advantage is it's not a laborious test like XAT, for example. XAT, as you know, is a 3-hour exam. Even CAT, if you notice, it's a 2-hour exam. Compared to those exams, this one is just a 45 minutes test. So the advantage is you don't have to have a lot of mental stamina to sit and concentrate for a longer duration. But on the other hand, the challenge is you have to start very fast. You don't have a warm-up period out here. So right from the word go, you'll have to go all guns blazing as far as this examination is concerned. It's a short and sweet 45 minutes examination. Now, as far as this exam goes, it'll have 4 sections in it. Interestingly, if you look at competency assessment test of last year, there were 3 sections last year. This year, it has increased to 4. What is the section that has been added? Quant has been added. QA section has been added in this year competency assessment test. So as far as this year's test is concerned, verbal ability will have 10 questions. Even individual sections, number of questions has been slightly updated compared to last year. So verbal ability, 10 questions will appear. Now, what kind of questions appear in verbal ability? I'll give you insight into that also. So if you have a look at the last year's competency assessment that was done, we got feedback from hundreds of our test takers, and based on their feedback and also on the basis of the sample test that was provided last year, this particular section, it essentially tests your language skills, English language skills. So what kind of areas you need to prepare if you want to do well in this area? Now, listen to this carefully. You don't have to learn anything new. If you have been preparing well for NMAT, if you have done good preparation for CAT, it is more than sufficient. But what essentially they check in this section is they'll give you questions sometimes based on reading comprehension. Now, when I say RC passages, I'm not talking about lengthy passages the way you get in CAT and XAT. Here, you will have a very, very short passages, hardly around 50 to 200 words passages, anywhere between 50 to 200 words. Generally, that's the range of passages you can expect in this competency assessment. Then other than that, you also need to prepare for para jumbles. You have already done it for CAT But here also you may get questions based on para jumbles, where 4 sentences may be given. You have to arrange and make a meaningful paragraph. Or you may get questions based on para summary or para completion also. Other than this, sometimes some students have also reported close passages. What do I mean by close passage? There'll be fill in the blanks. There'll be a paragraph with some words missing in middle, and you have to fill it up with appropriate words from the choices given. All questions are multiple choice questions. So this is essentially what you need to prepare as far as verbal ability goes. Now, other than this, you also need to remember you have mental ability also. When it comes to mental ability, what kind of questions you will get out here? See, you essentially will get logical reasoning puzzles. Again, when I say logical reasoning puzzles, do not immediately think about cat kind of puzzles. Not really. Again, they're smart enough to realize that the duration is only 45 minutes, so it will be much easier, much shorter kind of puzzles. You may have questions based on sequencing, questions based on seating arrangement, questions based on distribution, etc. Other than that, sometimes you also get critical reasoning, assumptions, conclusions kind of questions also appear in mental ability. Managerial ability is another area that you will have in the test paper, and managerial ability essentially will include decision making caselets. So decision making caselets you can expect in this section, wherein a short story may be given and they may ask for your decision making capability among the given options. When it comes to decision making caselets, remember you need to be very ethical, and the decisions that you take have to be very logical. And for solving a problem, your decision should not be such that it creates even bigger problem. So it has to be done in a very logical manner. Compared to the kind of decision-making case studies you have practiced in XCT, here it will be much easier, much shorter. Other than this, I would also encourage you to prepare for, again, critical reasoning based topics. So topics like inference based questions, or let's say courses of action, right? Those kind of questions I would also encourage you to prepare for. So critical reasoning also is one area that will be very useful in this exam. Other than that, mathematics has been introduced. This is the new aspect this year in competency assessment, quantitative ability, mathematics. We will encourage you to revise mathematics topics that you have already learned. But again, I want to reiterate that in terms of difficulty, we don't really expect the kind of difficulty you felt on the day of CAT exam. It will be much simpler questions, but you definitely need to revise your mathematics. Revise all the topics. I'm not asking you to skip any, but more focus do give to the arithmetic maths. Having said that, because they are doing it for the very first year this year, we would encourage you to just brush up everything. But yes, more focus can be done on arithmetic mathematics topics. So all in all, if you observe, there are 30 questions to be completed in 45 minutes. And every question, when you get it right, 3 marks will be awarded to you. Every right answer will fetch 3 marks. And more importantly, every wrong answer will get -1. Negative marking is there. This is very important information. Keep this in mind. So 30 into 3, 90 marks will be the total marks in the examination. And in case you leave any question, in case you skip any question, there is no penalty for that. This is something to be kept in mind. Because there is no penalty, there is no pressure on you, there is no responsibility on you to attempt every single question. We will encourage you to be a little careful and do not indulge in guesswork. So this is competency assessment. As far as the pattern goes, you might have noticed by now that you don't have to learn something new. There is absolutely nothing new. If you have been a good time student, if you have been preparing for an NMAT exam, or if you have done your preparation for CAT exam or XAT exam, you would have already covered all this. XAT, if you have covered, then decision making has also been prepared by you. In fact, the decision making that you have prepared for XAT is at a much more difficult level compared to what you have here. But point I'm trying to make here is no need to get nervous and stuff. This is just like any other exam. In fact, the difficulty level will be much lower than compared to the difficulty level you felt on the day of exam, like CAT. So there is a reason for you to relax. Don't be nervous. Just brush up your basics. make sure you revise your concepts. As far as time is concerned, we have already uploaded 3 mocks, mock competency assessment tests. We're already uploaded this week, and we have decided, because yesterday night they have released the new pattern of competency assessment, and I'm happy to report that we are going to provide you with 3 more mocks. So 3 mocks were already provided. We are going to provide with you with 3 more mocks. Out of these 3 more mocks, one has already been uploaded, and 2 more are going to be uploaded in the next 2 to 3 days. So totally you will have 6 mocks. Out of 6, 3 will be on the updated pattern. So take these 3 updated pattern mocks without fail. One of them has already been uploaded today. 2 more will be uploaded in the next 2 to 3 days. So make sure you tried these mocks without fail, because that'll give you good amount of exposure. People ask me, sir, should I only do this? Should I avoid this? No, no, no. Do these also, because remember, these 3 also cover these 3 areas. So only quant will be missing out here, but the other 3 you can definitely prepare with these 3 mocks also. So do these 3, but do these 3 as well. Do all 6 mocks. That will be more than sufficient to prepare comfortably for competency assessment. You don't need any more inputs. As far as competency assessment, these 6 mocks will give you very good insight into how the test paper is designed. So make sure you write them without fail. We are also going to provide you with the solutions. So if any question that has troubled you, can always have a look and see how the faculty member has done that question. Now, this is about competency assessment. Now, apart from competency assessment, by the way, before I move to the personal interview, let me give you some tips with regard to the test taking part. Because 45 minutes, 30 questions, there are certain things to be kept in mind. First and foremost, make sure that you manage your time carefully. You have to get started very, very soon. You cannot have that warm-up period, as I was telling you earlier. And please remember, do not spend a lot of time on a single question. We strongly recommend that you have a cutoff time limit in place. What do I mean by cutoff time limit? See, cutoff time limit essentially means that when you are attempting a question, promise to yourself that I'm not going to spend more than a certain duration when I'm attempting a question. So probably it can be more than, or it can be a cutoff time limit of, let's say, 30 seconds, or it can be 1 minute or 1.5 minutes. You decide. I'm not going to force you to go by what time I'm asking you to go by, because everybody has got different level of preparation, different level of comfort when it comes to each of these areas. So I leave it up to your jurisdiction. You can take mocks the time is providing, so that you can figure out what works best for you, what cutoff time limit you should keep in place. And once you have done that, once you have kept some duration in mind, make sure you implement it on the day of the exam. So once you are attempting any question, if you are unable to get the answer within that duration, you have to be very strict with yourself, and you have to skip that question and you need to go to the next question. Remember, skipping a question doesn't get any penalty. There you will just get a 0. You will not get any negative marks if you're skipping a question. So make sure you skip a question sooner than later. So have a cutoff time limit in place. Do not indulge in guesswork. Remember, there is negative marking. -1 is done. Therefore, you should never indulge in guesswork in competency assessment. Last but not the least, you have to maintain a balance between accuracy as well as speed. So you have to be careful about negative marking, but at the same time, you have to go very fast. So this is something that will really help you in acing competency assessment and NMIMS. Now, apart from this, they will also have a artificial intelligence assisted personal interview. Now, this is not like a regular PI where you will have a panel of interviewers and you will be sitting across the table, and the human beings or the professors on the other side of table will directly interact with you. In this case, they will take you to a room where a computer system would be in place, a headphone will be there, mic will be there, and yes, an interview panel will also be there. So on the other side of the table, you will have professors sitting also. But before the professors ask the questions, once you go inside the interview cabin, you will have to first have a artificial intelligence enabled interview. AI enabled interview will happen. And when you enter into the room, follow the etiquettes that you usually follow. Greet the panel. with the formal greetings. So good morning, sir. Good morning, ma'am. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, ma'am. Depending on time of the day, and walk in and follow the same protocols that you use in any other interview. Like for instance, don't directly grab the chair and sit. Wait for the permission to sit or seek their permission. Be seated in a formal manner, and then they will give you a brief idea about AI interview. They'll give you the headphone mic, and once you've done that, then the AI interview will begin. Now, the artificial intelligence based interview, the AI will ask questions verbally, but remember, the questions as well as your answers are also going to be displayed, captured and displayed in written format on the screen. Now, when you are answering, the text will be generated and it will be shown on the screen. But do remember, sometimes mistakes will happen, because obviously our pronunciation, the way we Indians will pronounce the words and the way the system may take it, sometimes some mistakes may happen. Ignore those mistakes, don't panic. The system will not penalize you for pronunciation based mistakes. Absolutely not a problem. The panels is sitting across the table. They are noticing your answers. So keep that in mind. Don't panic. And generally, the duration of the entire AI interview will be for around 15 minutes. And the clock will be there on the system also. You can always give a glance to that also, so that you would know how much time is remaining for the interview. And the questions that the AI will ask could be based on the content that you already submitted in your statement of purpose. Remember, as part of your application, you've already filled up an SOP. So questions can be generated by AI on the basis of the content that you submitted. You have also filled up an application form. So the inputs that you have put in place in your application, that can also lead to a lot of questions. If you have work experience, questions can be asked based on your work experience also. So that is how typically the AI enabled interview will happen. Its duration will be for around 15 minutes. And after the AI interview ends, the panelist may ask you a few additional questions also. So, because remember, the panel was sitting across the table, sometimes they may ask for some clarifications, or sometimes they may ask some new set of questions also. So that is also possible. So this is your AI assisted PI round that will happen. Once this is over, then they will ask you to leave, and then the entire process gets completed. And 26 February is the last date for conducting this activity, and probably after another few weeks, the final list of selected candidates are expected to be released. Possibly in the month of March end, you can expect the final list of candidates. This is just the analysis on the basis of the past track record. All right. So this is how the entire process will be carried out by NMIMS. All right. So I hope you got a complete understanding about how the process works. And now, if you have got any questions, do share your questions with me. I'll answer them one by one. So the first question comes from Harshit Jain. Harshit is asking me, sir, CMAT marks are accepted by NMIMS or not? Not really, Harshit. NMIMS does not accept CMAT scores for admission into their regular 2-year MBA program. They are only going to accept NMAT, and that will be followed by competency assessment and AI-enabled interview. As I have mentioned in this session, CMAT scores are not accepted. CMAT scores are accepted by other good business schools. There's a very good video on this on our channel. You can watch it. Now, do remember this. I'm talking about the flagship 2-year MBA program. For the flagship 2-year MBA program, CMAT scores are not accepted. Now, question comes from Asaul. Asaul says, is there any sectional cutoff? Yes, there is a sectional cutoff. As I mentioned, 60 marks was sectional cutoff for their MBA program. For MBA in pharmaceutical management, they have kept a cutoff of 60 marks in English section and 55 marks in the other two sections. The sectional cutoffs are there. Hriday is asking a question. Hriday says, sir, how to prepare for competency assessment? I think this question was asked in the beginning of my session. I've already covered it, Hriday. I hope you heard me and you got good amount of idea about how to go about preparing for it. If you're a T.I.M.E student, you already have all the relevant material with you on your student homepage. Especially the competency assessment mocks are very, very useful. Do write them without fail. Sampath says, Okay. Did NMIMS integrate quant in competency assessment first time? Yes, this has happened for the first time, and this is the different in the approach that they have taken, and we are updating our mocks also accordingly. Aditya says, how much does NMIMS focus on academics for freshers? Or will it be solely based on what is there in the SOP? See, the AI may focus sometimes based on ACATs, but remember, after the AI-enabled interview ends, the panelists are also sitting in the same room. They may ask additional questions and they may grill you on academics also. So I would encourage all the freshers who are attending this session or to also prepare on the academic subject questions also, because remember, it's not completely only AI based interview. After the AI enabled interview ends, the panelists are free to ask some extra questions also. Sam says, which NMIMS is good? Like Mumbai, Bangalore, so on. See, all NMIMS campuses are good, but then which one is better and so on and so forth. I would encourage you to have a look at time-based school categorization list. It's available on our website. You can visit there and have a look at and see what grades time has assigned for each of the campuses of NMIMS. The next question comes from Janvi. Janvi says, my interview is on 2nd. How should I prepare for my competency test? I strongly recommend, Janvi, you brush up the basics and start taking the mocks that time has provided on your student homepage, assuming that you are a student of time. If you're not a student of time, please immediately register for GWPI program and begin your preparation. The mocks that we are going to provide will be very useful for your competency assessment preparation. But also work on the basic concepts, revise the basic concepts related to RC, parajumble, paracompletion, logical reasoning, right? Or decision making, critical reasoning. You have to brush up quant also this time. So you have to brush it up and then focus on the mocks. Anusha says, is AI interview going to be adaptive? Yes, artificial intelligence does adapt to your answers and generate follow-up questions. So that way it's very intelligent. It does adapt. Tanya says, for AI interview, should we expect GK questions? It's possible. Just to be safe, it's good to prepare for current affairs also. Last year, very few people have reported current affairs based questions. Most of the people have responded. As far as AI part was concerned, it was mostly based on what you have written in your application. But having said that, again, I want to reiterate, the panel is also there and they may ask some additional questions. So it's always good to revise your current affairs. If you are a time student, if you have enrolled with us for GWPI preparation, we are providing excellent knowledge session videos. We have also provided you with GWPI briefcase. Please go through the content that we have included there. That will help you in preparation for current affairs. The next question comes from Sampath, who says, what will be good number of attempts in competency assessment? A little difficult to predict, Sampath, because it will depend on the difficulty level beta. Nobody knows the exact difficulty level of this year, right? So not fair for me to predict a number. But all I will do is I will encourage you to go very fast and maximize number of attempts, but without indulging in guesswork. That should be your approach. Maximum attempts, but no guesswork. That approach works. Interesting question. Assault says, sir, is there any sectional cutoff for competency test? It has not been mentioned by them. So because they have not mentioned anything out there about it, there doesn't seem to be, but there is no official information regarding that. Cherry says, will there be any scenario-based question in the interview? Definitely possible. It is possible that a hypothetical scenario may be presented and you may be asked to share your take on it. How many days will it take for the result to come down? Sam is asking. Well, it may take a couple of weeks after the last date of interview. So, see, let's say, Sam, you are getting interviewed in the first week of February. It's not that your results will come before other person's result. First, they will complete the entire process till 26th February. Then, once all the interviews are done, then after 26th February, after a few weeks, the final results will come out. Dress code has been asked by Vivek. Dress code has to be a formal dress. For a gentleman, it will be a trouser and shirt, formal, preferably plain and preferably of contrasting colors. So let's say a dark color trouser, light color shirt, or a light color trouser, dark color shirt, preferably plain, regular collars, full sleeves. Tie is optional, blazer is optional. If you want to wear it, you can. Shoe has to be a formal shoe. For a girl, a formal dress would be either a salwar kameez or a sari, or it can be a suit as such. All right. But it has to be a formal dress. Don't wear jeans and t-shirt and go there. Absolutely no. It has to be a formal dress. All right. So I have answered all the questions that you people had shared with me. Now, on behalf of everybody at Time, I wish you all the best. Hope you got a complete insight into the process. If you like the content, do hit the like button and do share this video with your friends also who might have got a call and who may not have attended today's session. They will also gain from this. All right. And do subscribe to our channel because we regularly upload this kind of quality content. So with this, I have come to the end of this session. Thank you everyone for attending it. And I wish you all the best for your upcoming competency assessment and AI enabled interview. Take care.